Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bright Founders Talk at Temi. Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. Welcome to a podcast where we bring you the most inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and experts in the software development industry. Each week, we interview successful leaders who share their unique journeys and valuable insights. I'm your host, Barry, and today we have another amazing guest joining us, Clarisse Beurrier, co-founder and CTO at Cellcraft. Hello, Clarisse.
Hi, Barry. Thanks for
How's that
having
doing the
me.
name?
Yeah, perfect.
It's really, yes, it was close. It
Like,
was close. I did pause a second. Now, those people who don't have the pleasure of knowing you or your company, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and the company that you work at?
yeah, so I'm the co-founder of Cellcraft, and we're a Cambridge B2B startup. We're pre-Series A, and we've built the world's first plug-and-play AI automation operating software for bioreactors. So bioreactors make all the products that are maybe used today, like food, like cheese and bread, or medicines, even drugs like Ozempic or vaccines. And so they're key for biomanufacturing and getting to a more sustainable economy. So we enable bioreactors to move from black boxes into more smart, self-optimizing systems that are more cost efficient.
So, what actually inspired the founding of Cellcraft? And what problems are you actually trying to solve in terms of biomanufacturing and food systems?
Yeah, so I started when I was a student in the University of Cambridge. I was in the Department of Chemical Engineering and Biotechnology, and I was working in computational methods for bioprocess development. And for this, I kind of needed data because specifically I was funded for cultivated meat research, and there's no data at all in cultivated meat because it's a very recent field. So then I met one of the heads or co-heads of the department at that time, and she was doing a seminar how they were growing human brains, like fully grown
Wow.
human brains on chips. And I was so impressed that, oh, why can we have brains when we still don't have cultivated meat on our plates? And so I found out that it was also thanks to their analytics. And basically, they get a lot of data thanks to the systems they've developed. And I was like, this is perfect. You're talking about data. So I was thinking I can use it for my own AI. And then we kind of had the idea of Cellcraft from that because I always wanted to do something for cultivated meats because I was a vegan for over 10 years. And I thought that if we could combine these AI and the analytics to kind of solve biomanufacturing.
So, becoming like a founder or a co-founder, that's not a small amount of work. Was it something that you had always planned to do? Like you thought, oh, I will be a founder one day, or just
Not at
happenstance?
all. Not at all.
Yeah.
I was never introduced even to that world, so I never thought it would be an opportunity for me. So thankfully, I did get introduced at university, but it's an Imperial College. Was introduced to a founder who was also very young at the time. She was like 26 years old, and she was doing it alone. And she just had started, and it exposed me to that world and the possibilities. So I started building with her, and then that's how I got the idea to do my own.
So, what's like the biggest challenge that you say you've had to overcome since you've like faced starting up like deep tech startup companies, for example?
I think the great thing about being a founder and a startup is like you go through different stages and you have different challenges at different stages. So it's definitely never boring. And it's also the challenges that you would not think, like you would not expect. Because, for example, I did like an Imperial Business School management year, and I had like actually my best grade I ever got was in HR throughout my whole studies. I got like something like 90% plus in HR, and I thought, okay, HR is not going to be a problem in my company, and turns out it's very different applied to the theory. So yeah, different stages. I think like building the first time I built my team, which was kind of like experts really, because in cultivated meat, it's a very multidisciplinary field where you have different experts. Like we have bioprocess engineers, we have AI engineers, with tissue engineers, stem cell scientists, and they're all very senior. But sometimes it's hard to create a good team culture and good cohesive environment
Yeah.
for them to really work together.
So this is like would you say it's like it's a personal pet project for you because you are vegan? You have like skin in the game, right? Excuse the metaphor.
Definitely.
You have you have like your own involvement in it. Is it something that you are trying to do for the benefit of the world, or is it something that you're just like so enthusiastic about it? It's a personal dream of yours.
I think that's a very good question. I think that's very both because I've always been driven. I've went through effective altruism. Like I mean, I've always been driven to make the most impact I could have, and I just love that cultivated meat. Yes, it's veganism. Yes, it's animals, but it's much more than that as well. Because just through that, through ending slaughterhouses, ideally factory
Yeah.
farms, which is the goal, you can have impacts throughout. You can have impact sustainability, with the environmental crisis is the leading cause of water pollution, deforestation, antibiotic resistance even. So you're going now into more global health issues. You're going to, food security angle as well. So you're touching so many aspects with just one kind of solution. So that's why I'm really enthusiastic about it. And obviously, as a vegan, yes, for me, like animals and the ethical aspects of it are super important.
So when people say they want to change the world, I mean, that's literally what you want to do, because it's going to like influence so many different sectors. And I think it is kind of the dream, isn't it, to be able to have because I'm not a vegan myself, but if I'm quite ethical, and so if I could have a situation where I
Yeah.
could have the benefits of eating meat, and also feel like it's helping the environment and it's not contributing to animal cruelty,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much a win-win. Do you think there is a market for it? Do you think the market is there? Is that what people are crying out for?
I think everyone wants to feel good about themselves and their choices. And then today we're kind of forced to justify them and be like, no, but I'm buying grass fed, but you still kind of feel bad and you still kind of know the truth. Like, so I think that's something that's easy. If people can get the same, nutrition from it, they can get the same taste and they don't have any concerns, like in terms of their health or socially acceptable is that's also super important because I'm French. I know about the standards, so yeah, having to fit in and all of that. So if they can, yeah, just have the same meats that they always had, even better meats, because with cultivated meat you also have the option to do like specific meats like Wagyu beef for a
Yeah.
fraction of the price, or this very more interesting beef that you're not restricted to the livestock animals that we're currently rearing, breeding that easily factory farm, but you can have actually the best quality meats as they are. So I think it's not like we're not targeting vegans, we're
Yeah.
just targeting like the normal meat eaters who are finding it hard to find other options, like like they're not particularly keen on plant-based proteins. They just want the same meats they've always had.
So you've talked a little bit about your vision there. Like, what would success look like for you? I mean, some people it's profit margin, some people it's product adoption. Like, what is it that is going to be success, and you can say, yes, I did it?
Yeah, so for us, we want to build the technologies to enable meat producers to be able to move into biomanufacturing themselves. Because right now, we don't want them to think that they have to compete with this biomanufacturing. We don't think it won't be successful even if we try to do that and actually compete with them. So we want to provide them the technologies for them to adopt biomanufacturing, start making their own cultivated meats locally. Because we think also the end customers, they trust these kind of meat producers that they're already buying from, but they don't necessarily trust, the San Francisco startups that if you ask, like, if they want to get their food from them, I'm not sure if they will be so willing. So we want to keep that relationship, and we want to just be like the hidden player, solving the cost, the economics, and the all the bioprocess challenges that it comes with making cultivated meats affordable, sustainable, and at scale.
You kind of like touched on it a bit then. Like, what would you say is the biggest like mistake or issue that people have when it comes to biomanufacturing? Because biomanufacturing doesn't have like the kind of sexy slogan that some of the terms have. What do you think people's concerns are around biomanufacturing, and how have you overcome them?
So the biomanufacturers themselves, you mean, or like
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, we're all basically we're in this field as well. So we're all facing these challenges, especially for new fields like cell and gene therapy, cultivated meat specifically. It's a combination, but basically prohibitively high production costs and scaling challenges. You also have like black box bioreactors, so you don't really know what's going on because of poor analytics, and you have high failure rates as a result. So you're losing like your whole batch. Poor predictability, poor control. That leads to these high costs and this lack of reproducibility as well.
So, how has Cellcraft like transformed traditional bioreactors into intelligent, like self-optimizing systems?
Yeah, so the issue with the current, just if you just take the software of the bioreactors, you were not trying to redesign really the hardware, but just the software is legacy software made for like the chemical industry, maybe like 50 years ago, and it's not designed to control living cells and biologically dynamic processes. So a software does that. It's made for cells. and it's adaptive control. So it kind of predicts what could go wrong before and acts on it. And it has two modes. It's advisory or autonomous mode as well. So it can run the bioreactors in a more autonomous way and get all the data inside. So it's not just a dashboard, it's actual control and making the bioreactors like a self-optimizable systems.
So since we're talking about like AI and learning algorithms here, I know that you're working on a project at the moment. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so I started a female founder network. And then I was like, this is such a big problem that, female founders have to pitch much more than male founders. They're also not scaling and succeeding. They are the first ones to even get kicked out of their own ventures. And they're just, and it's all because of networks, not, of course, not of capabilities, but networks limit you. Also in Europe, compared to Silicon Valley, you're going to have very different experience fundraising. So I wanted to make the game a little bit more fair, and I just thought AI could be used for good here. And I built Iris, which is this AI super connector, and it also acts as your personal fundraising agent. So it makes the right matches for you, and you don't have to download any app, anything. It just works on call or on WhatsApp or where you already are. And it also coaches you. So we see where the female founders are at. So it doesn't have to be a VC backable business. It's also like for charity, for social impact in developing countries as well. We think this is so important to let anyone have the right connections to who would help them, to funders or business partners. So yeah, I think maybe you could even be one of the ecosystem partners for Iris. And I'm happy for her to, she's calling actually right now.
Okay,
so
perfect. Let's listen. Yes, please.
Hi, Iris. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I was just saying it's great to connect with you today. Clarisse, good to hear your voice, and thanks for joining us. I'm the AI layer of Iris, the part that actually does the work. From onboarding a founder to closing her round, it all runs through me. So this is as live as it gets. I understand you're building something pretty ambitious, and we're excited to explore next steps with you. What questions are on your mind to start?
How do you help female founders, and how do you connect them to investors?
Well, a founder connects with me through the website, and then I call her, usually within a few minutes. I learn about her business, where she is, and what kind of investor she actually needs. Then I build her profile, map it to the full network, and when she's ready, she gets introduced. I send her matches, get her consent, and then make that warm introduction with the full brief. Does that side of things make sense?
Yes. Bear, do you have any other questions for Iris? No.
It sounds incredible. What do you think the biggest issue is for female founders in the space when founding new projects, for example?
Right. I think the biggest issue is not actually access, it's signal. There's capital actively looking for this pipeline, but there hasn't been a reliable, high signal way to find it. I'm the routing infrastructure that doesn't yet exist. Does that resonate with your experience?
Not my personal experience because I'm not a female founder, but it sounds incredible and I'm really excited to hear more. And I think other people will likewise be excited to hear this.
Yeah, thank you, Iris.
Incredible. You have a project that sells itself.
I know.
That's basically
That's for you. That's the idea.
Yeah.
It's like we don't
Yeah.
have to repeat the same pitches over and over again as a
Yeah.
founder. It's like I'm sending Iris.
Is that based off of your own personal experience or is it more generalized?
Definitely my experience, but then I also started my Cambridge Female Founder Network, and I spoke to hundreds of female founders and literally found out that it wasn't only my experience, that it was a systemic issues that female founders were facing. So I was like, let's try to solve it and not just complain about it.
It sounds
And we're doing
incredible.
like a lot of reporting. Like your question was really relevant, and we are doing
Yeah.
this reporting because as we work with founders and we make this vetted introductions and we actually get the feedback and see what is working and how we can help the entrepreneur economy, mostly in Europe, then we will also like do reports and publications about our findings.
So if there's someone here who maybe is really excited by this prospect, like how would they get in contact? Where would they need to go?
So we have our website, which is iriscapital.ai, and you can just sign up and directly Iris will call you and let you join the network, and it's all free.
Sounds incredible. And you're really passionate about it. It seems like something that you really, really, really feel good about. So you're actually doing two different projects and making the world a better place in two different ways. Not many people can say that. So since we are talking about AI, like, why do you feel that AI and motivation is kind of like the missing layer in scaling like cultivated meat and in a like broader sense biomanufacturing?
Yeah, so because to compete with conventional meat, cultivated meat has been having this issue that is prohibitively expensive and hard to scale, as I mentioned, because you don't know what's going on in your process. So it takes you like 5 to 10 years of R&D, and every year of R&D is extremely expensive. Like startups have raised like 300 million and are not getting there yet. And we solve it through two angles. Yes, obviously you need the right cell lines. The biology is important, but the engineering is such a missing easy piece, which is just the gains that you can have already just having the right software. For example, like 90% of the cost of cultivated meat comes from the media, like what you actually feed the cells. And so having this control of what the cells need, at what time, having like a media recycling system, all of this can just bring down the prices even cheaper, maybe not chicken, but like cheaper than the other meat types we have already today. So it's so much gains just thanks to leveraging AI. And then we also have done the cell lines in terms of we do have a platform that can make this GM free immortal cell lines. So we can get replicable processes at scale.
I'm also kind of curious about how you manage like multidisciplinary teams, for example, science, engineering, and maybe like marketing. You said HR, so we know that you're a pro when it comes to HR. How do you manage all those other competing interests? Do they compete actually, or are they complementary?
Yeah, I think they probably should be complementary. I'm still really learning on the go. But I do feel like it's much more important to have people that are really enthusiastic about working for the company and thinking of how they can apply themselves instead of having like the right expert that's just going to be in their box and really not maybe thinking about the overall goal and the overall dynamic team culture. So I would put this as like my top advice is hire the ones actually motivated to be there and never try to convince someone that's not motivated to stay. That's the main thing. Like you should be a company that people aspire to work with and to stay working for, and not the other way around. You shouldn't try to convince too much.
From your experience, like if you're thinking like a couple of years in the future or maybe a little bit further, when do you think like this technology will start to become mainstream? Like when do you think like we're going to be at the situation where you can say, actually, yes, it's culturally accepted to be able to eat like I don't want to say bioengineered because I don't like that term, but maybe it is.
Because it's not engineered, so we don't
Yeah.
touch any of the DNA of the cells. The cells replicate just like as they would in a normal animal's body.
Okay.
So that's why it's like non-GM, so it's GM free. Maybe in the US it can be different, but yeah, for us we have to be careful because we obviously want to sell to the European market. So firstly, now we're integrating the software with bioreactors that for different industries as well. So it can be precision fermentation, fermentation biopharma. And we think that's the main first step to help across biomanufacturing. But for cultivated meat specifically, it's bringing these technologies together. So having the bioreactors that are efficient and that are predictable, that we can scale the processes faster, but then also integrating our cell lines or analytics to them. We think that's needed. And then there also needs to be a little bit more work. We don't do that, but in the supply chain side of things. So having like a cheaper food grade media components, what you feed the cells is the media. And these right now they're taken from the biopharma industry. Like we buy from Thermo Fisher and we buy, very expensive, where they could be much cheaper. So there are a lot of companies moving into that space now. For example, Multis Media or some others making like specific proteins from plants, for example, like using fermentation again. So you would need from bioreactors sometimes, or you would need other systems. So we think, to be honest, like I don't think it would take much longer. It's just now there are not many players, unfortunately, in cultivated meat. So if there were a little bit more of us, I think in the next 5 to 10 years, really, we would be able to compete on with different meats. But that's the good thing about meat industry. It's like there's so many different meats, so many different products you can do. So, now we're already price competitive with Wagyu. Then we can be price competitive with chicken. It's going to be probably like 10 years.
Yeah. I think you're one of the first like co-founders that I've heard that is actually wants to welcome more competition in the sector.
Oh, yes.
And that's kind of a unique way of thinking, right?
No, we need that because especially like for VCs, right? When you're trying to raise funding, they all say like if you don't have a competitor in the US that's doing well, they will not invest in Europe.
Oh, right. Okay.
And that's kind of the problem cultivating me right now.
Yeah.
Is like a lot of like the competitors in the US have not doing so well, and there are not many of them. So yeah, then the European space is a little bit dead.
And this way of thinking, this model that you're doing, is it limited only to meat? Are you looking potentially at other sectors, or is meat just a focus, or is it a primary thing that you're doing?
No, so that's the thing. The software is applicable to all industries, and right now we're leveraging it for commercial traction, so we can find like fund or cultivated meat endeavor, because yes, we can apply it to all the different sectors I mentioned. So we're looking for partners like bioreactor hardware vendors and pharma, for example, or even CDMOs who want to show the applicability to pharma. Cell and gene therapies fields that are also struggling a little bit on cost margins, etc.
Yeah. So, in terms of the industries that are going to be most impacted, is it food that you think this is most applicable to, or could it be other things like clothing or other materials, pharmaceuticals, for example?
For materials as well, yeah, pharmaceuticals definitely, because they're still extremely expensive and they're just subsidized. That's why we can afford them, not cultivated meat. So it's throughout. Biomanufacturing has been struggling with scale and cost challenges. So really throughout, then it depends, because there are some processes like fermentation processes sometimes that are more optimized already. So they wouldn't see as much of a greater gain if they were to use Cellcraft IQ or software. Whereas some others would see a huge cost savings, for example, like up to 40% cost savings.
In terms of the role of AI in the future, so again, looking a little bit to the future, like where do you see the role of AI in the future of biotech, and where do you think like the biggest opportunities lie?
Yeah, I think closed loop bioprocess control. So what we're doing to really turn this biotechnology from more of an art into proper manufacturing field, a proper sector, and it's so important. And you get like this, yeah, you get this whole industry. You're unlocking a whole new industry that can make every kind of product more sustainable way. And then there's also like quality and compliance. I think that would be interesting, like regulated biomanufacturing for biopharma. You need like enormous amounts of documentation that is kind of preventing the industry also to scale fast enough, with all the regulations in the EU. So AI can do like GMP compliant batch records. That's why we're also making Cellcraft IQ be able to control production, and then hopefully we can work on this area as well, where it helps for regulatory submissions. Then I'm not sure about other fields like AI for drug discovery. I'm not sure. I feel like there's so many startups and it's kind of overhyped. I don't know what had happened.
So we are coming towards the end, but a couple of questions I'd like to ask you, if I may. So you've been through the journey, you founded your company, you've been through there. Obviously, as a female founder, you've experienced the world differently from what men would. What advice would you give to aspiring founders, male or female, apart from obviously Iris, which obviously will be a very good way to start that. But if not Iris, what other advice would you give to someone, male or female? And then you can just do female only if you feel like it afterwards.
Yeah, I think females maybe underrepresented founders in general maybe struggle a little bit more with this. It would just be like kind of remembering the power, as cliche as it sounds. And female founders, sometimes they like to be over mentored. They're not really. Sometimes they just accept people to get on their cap table, basically. Like if you're a mentor, oh yes, you're helping me. We need to be really careful about that. Who you're choosing as your co-founder, who is the decision maker, because you want to be able to move fast in a startup, even if it means you fail fast. You still want to be able to move fast, and so you don't want to be stuck. You don't want to be stuck with misaligned, investors, for example. So I think accepting, timelines, who's on your board. Like if you want to have an investor that doesn't understand what it takes and that just wants to push you to basically burn, which has happened to a lot of biomanufacturing company, where they just push you to what it looks like but don't really understand like the deep tech timelines. So I would say yes, power control. that's where it's at.
That's look, thank you so much, Clarisse. It's been so interesting talking to you, and thank you for your guest, Iris. That's the first time we've had two guests on the show, so it was a pleasure to talk to both of you. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much for your time, Barry. Lovely speaking with you.
That was Clarisse Beurrier, co-founder and CTO at Cellcraft.